I know that I told you guys that I would be doing a practice test, but instead I forgot that I have to teach you guys how to write the equation of a circle and identify specific parts of a circle, right? Well, we're going to start with this bell work. So this is bell work. There's three questions, right? The first one says, find points at which, sorry, it says fill in the blank. The points at which a graph intersects or touches axes are called the blank of the graph. And this is a specific word. And whenever we have a graph like this, right, the points of the graph, like let's say our graph looks something like this. Like this is a point, this is a special point, and this is a special point, right? These two are called x-intercepts, and this one is called a y-intercept. So whenever the graph of the function touches one of the axes, they're called intercepts. Okay? Either x or y intercepts. Okay, so second one says determine whether each point lies on the graph of the equation. What that means is we want to determine if this is a solution for this equation, right? The first number 8 represents x. And the second number represents y. Okay? So all we have to do is plug them in and see if the equation holds to be true. So we're going to do, instead of y, it's going to be 0 equals negative 9. 0 equals 8 squared hmm, 8. I guess we're going to have to do this way. 8 squared minus 9 times 8 plus 8. All right, all I did was substitute this 8 in for every x. So this 8 went for this x, and it went for this x. So instead of x squared, it's 8 squared. Instead of negative 9 times 8, negative 9 times x, it's negative 9 times 8. So now let's do the math. 8, so we have 0 equals 8 squared is 64, and then negative 9 times 8 is negative 72 plus 8. Well, we know that 0 equals 64 minus 72 is negative 8, and then plus 8, that is equal to 0. And does 0 equal 0? Yes, so the point does, in fact, lie on the graph. All right, next we're going to try part B to see if that point lies on the graph. But now our x is negative 8 and our y is negative 44. So we're going to say negative 144 equals negative 8 to the second power minus 9 times negative 8 plus 8. All right, so do the math. Negative 144 equals positive 64 plus 72 plus 8. Well, I don't even have to do the math. I can tell that this is not going to be true because this 64 plus 72 plus 8 is going to be a positive answer, and the left side is going to be a negative answer. But just in case, we're going to end up getting negative 144 equals a positive 144. Are those two things the same? No, they are not. So then we would say this point does not lie on the graph. All right, so that's how we check to see if points are on the graph. If you can plug them into the equation and the equation holds true. All right, so next, what I want you guys to do is I want you to write this equation of the circle. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So go ahead, pause it, and then, because it's important to know, I'm going to talk about this, but I need you to have this written down first. And then you can write this picture down to, you can ignore all this stuff. This doesn't look, it's not as bad as you think, okay? But right now, I just want you to write this left side down, and then we'll look at these questions, okay? So pause it. Okay, so this is the standard equation of a circle. This is the x minus h squared and y minus k squared. That's where we get our center. But I want you to notice very carefully, it's minus h and minus k, but here it's a positive h and a positive k. You have to remember that inside the parentheses, the signs change, right? And I want you to be aware that this says r to the second power, not r, because this always equals a square, r squared, and the radius is r. So to find the radius, we always have to find the square root of whatever that number is, okay? So let's look at an example. Number 1 says x minus 3 squared, y plus 4 squared equals 36. So we're going to do the center first. The center is always opposite. So this center is a positive 3 and a negative 4. Okay? And then, like I said, to find the radius, we're going to square root this. What's the square root of 36? The square root of 36 is 6. So this radius is 6. Okay? I want you guys to try all these three. So go ahead and pause it and try these three problems. All right, let's continue. So this center is going to be negative 7, comma 11, because the sign switch. And the radius, we're going to take the square root of 144, which is 12. So the center is negative 7, 11, and the radius is 12. The center here, if you notice, for this one, it doesn't have any numbers, so that must mean that it's going to be 0, comma 0. And our radius, the square root of 169, is 13. So this is 13. And this center is going to be a positive 8, comma 0, because there's no y, there's no k here, and the radius is the square root of 49, which is 7. Okay. Now it says write the equation of a circle, of each circle. All right, so circle 5, I'm going to write here, circle 5. So the center is at negative 3, so it's going to be x. Remember, it's opposite, so it becomes x plus 3 squared plus y, and the 5 is positive, so it's going to become minus 5 squared equals, and then the radius is 5, so we have to square that. What is 5 squared? It's 25. All right, pause it and see if you can do number 6. All right, number 6. Since the x is 0, we can just write x squared plus y minus 9 squared equals, and the radius is 9, so that squared is 81. 9 times 9 is 81. All right, one thing I didn't mention, but for circles, in between the two parentheses, it's always plus. In between the x and y, it's always plus. Okay? If you have any questions, write them down, and we'll discuss them on Monday or Tuesday. So on Monday, I'll have a practice test for you guys. All right, let's keep looking. So from the circle here, we want to write the equation of the circle, and we want to know what the radius is and what the center is. So the radius is always from the center to outside. So we're going to go sideways, or we can go up, or we can go left, but it's from the center to the outside of the circle. And it's always easiest to count either straight up and down or straight left and right. So if we go to the right, we count 1, 2, 3. So I know my r, I know my radius r equals 3, right? And then the center of this circle is at 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this circle's at 3 comma negative 4, right? And so what is my h and k? H equals 3 and k equals negative 4. So now I have all the information I need to write the equation of the circle. So it's going to be parentheses x minus 3, because it's opposite, squared, plus y plus 4 squared equals, and then the radius is 3, so what's 3 squared? It's 9. And that's the equation of my circle. All right, let's look at another one. It says, write the standard equation of a circle with the given characteristics. Okay, so this one's tough because they don't give us a radius, they give us the center, and what they give us is a solution point. There's a couple ways we can do this. One is we can try to graph and see if it's going to give us a nice like horizontal line, but I can tell that this is not, because it doesn't have the same x or the same y, so that we can easily count. So we can't do that. But with the information I have, I know that h equals negative 7 and k equals negative 3. That's the center of our circle. So I can write some of it, right? So maybe if this is a multiple choice question, you could answer some of this and say x plus 7 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals r squared. I don't know what r is. So maybe if it was multiple choice and then you graph this and you can kind of estimate, you can eliminate. Maybe the answers are pretty easy to eliminate. So let's look at a graph really quick. All right. If we're going to look at a graph and just plot the center, which we said was negative 3, negative 7, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, is our center. And then a solution was 1, -9. So 1, -9 is here. So our radius looks like it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's close to 4. So if you only had a couple options to figure that out, to see what the what the radius was, like if it's close to 4, it's going to be close to 16, whatever that number is. But so you could use process elimination. The other way is we can plug in these values into here, right? Because this is a solution, so that means that this is an x, like we did in the bell work, and this is a y. We could just plug those in and work them out. So what I could do is, instead of x and y, we're going to plug in, so x was 1 and y was -9. So if we do that, we're going to get 8, because 1 plus 7 is 8, 8 squared plus -9 plus 3 is a -6 squared equals r squared. Because once we find the r, we can write the equation. That's the only thing we're missing. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to solve for r, right? So then 8 squared is 64 plus 36 equals r squared. And I made a mistake in graphing this. I'm so silly. So the center is not, I went to -3, 7, but the center is -7, -3. So my center should be -7, -3, should be here. So now that's a lot bigger radius. My radius is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere about 9, maybe 10. I don't know, but it's going to be somewhere around that area. So that's good to know, because then when I work it out, I can see if it's close to that. 36 plus 64 is 100 equals r squared. And technically, that's all I need for my equation, because I just need r squared. So the equation of my circle is x plus 7 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 100. Right? The radius is actually the square root of 100, which if we continue to solve, we would get, well, if we continue to solve, we would get that r equals 100. I mean, sorry, r equals 10, because the square root of 100 is 10. Right? So that's a way of doing it. All right, that's kind of the easiest way. I think we can just plug it in. I mean, the other way is graphing it. If we would have had a nice point that was up here, if we had a nice point that was up here and we could just count, but it wasn't, it was down here. So it wasn't, we can't really count diagonally. But this would be our final answer. The equation of the circle would be that. We just had to do a little bit of algebra to solve for the radius squared. Okay? You don't have to worry about those questions. All right, and that's it. So you guys have an assignment in Canvas or McGraw-Hill. It has like 10 questions on the equations of a circle. And just like usual, you guys can get 3 tries. Yep, and it's due tomorrow. Well, it's not due tomorrow. You guys can, it's due like 3 days. But you guys can work on it, and we can do everything that you need to do to work it out. All right? If you have questions, you can screenshot and email me, and I'll be glad to help you out. All right.